Hey, Mike Milnarik here again. Decided to make another video. Seemed that the other one was well received by some people, which I really appreciate. I appreciate anybody that took the time to watch some of it or all of it. That's I really appreciate that. Um, I hope that this can help some other people. Maybe, sorta. I don't know. I'm trying to figure myself out. Did you ever get to that point where you're just trying to figure out like what ends up? I'm kind of there a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out some things. Um, over the years, I've been very goal oriented, and I've had lots of plans, and I've worked toward a lot of those goals, and I've achieved a lot of goals. And then there are times where sometimes the rules of the game change along the way, and you have to adjust. Um, that happened for me a bit. um, I was somebody that never was told I should go to college. I actually just decided I wanted to, and it was a little odd how I went into music. I was going to go into computers, to software design, and I ended up deciding to go into music at the last minute. So here I am. I have this career in music, and I've been doing this full time for a very long time, and I'm happy about that. Very happy about that. But there's been struggles along the way. There's been ups and downs along the way, um, and there was a certain period of time where things kind of changed for me a little bit. My original goal was to get a degree. I wanted to. I went to music education my freshman year, and then I changed to performance because I wanted to perform. Um, I met Sam Palafian. I met Roger Bobo. Both had a huge impact on me on the performances that I saw of them, and then meeting them after the concerts. I went to study with Sam at Tanglewood at the Empire Brass Seminar in Lenox, Massachusetts. And that kind of solidified what I wanted to do for the future. While I was an undergrad, I met a professor. I went to a different school for one semester, and I met a professor that was from New York City area, and he ended up somehow in a conversation told me that you can teach in a college or conservatory with a master's degree. And so at that point, I had been thinking about a master's degree, but then that's all I could think about was how to get a master's degree. Um, so I did that, went and got my master's degree. And my goal was to teach full time in a college somewhere and perform in a brass quintet. And brass quintet is still my focus. Hasn't changed. It's got a great group called Innovata. I got some great people that I work with on a regular basis in various situations. We worked in a quintet together, but we also work in other situations from time to time together, and over the years. And I'm very happy about that, and I want to see that do more. But there's struggles along the way, and right now I'm in a place where I find myself reassessing things, or not reassessing things. I shouldn't say it that way because I'm not dropping out of music. There's no way. So don't take this as like this is my farewell speech. No, that's not happening. So this is more about me, of figuring myself out and trying to figure out how I can be better. And that's why I thought maybe some people might be interested in this. And so I find myself that I've had some things that make me the happiest I've ever been right now. And then at the same time, I am also in some ways the unhappiest I've ever been right now. I'm around a lot of really great people. I am very, very grateful for all the people that I performed with over the years, all the people that have trusted me, all the people that have hired me over the years, and all of the gigs I've done. I am super, super grateful for all of that. um, It's funny because it's like, we don't want to show weakness a lot of times. Many of us don't. I can speak for myself. I don't like to show weakness. Um, I think that I am vulnerable to certain people, but not, very specific people, but not to everybody. So, but everybody has their weaknesses and everybody has their struggles. And I certainly have had mine along the way. The pandemic did not help. I was struggling with some things of what I wanted to do differently, and how I wanted to modify things, that kind of stuff years before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit. And then I know that I'm speaking for many musicians all over the world. Then we didn't know if we were even going to have a career. We thought, a lot of us thought this is it, or just didn't know, because there was this complete uncertainty, 100% uncertainty. I've never had that in my entire life. And I know that everybody has struggled in some way through the pandemic, whether you're a musician or not. And but I struggled in the pandemic because when you're someone that is goal oriented and you like to work toward things, there was no way to plan anything because just didn't know if it was going to happen. So, I've seen some of I listen to rock music and stuff too, and I've seen some of my favorite rock musicians talk about how they struggled through the pandemic. And it's amazing to see these confident people normally, and then to hear about how they had a real difficult time getting through the pandemic. Well, I got to say I'm one of them. It was a difficult time. It really sucked. It for everybody. I put a post up on Facebook asking people like what happened to them through the pandemic, and and then how are things now and everything. And I've gotten some great responses, and I really appreciate people responding. But there's so many more people I know that saw that post that I'm sure they just want to put the pandemic behind them and just forget about it and just move forward. That's great. And I understand why, and I think you should, because we have to move forward. But, for me, it kind of, the pandemic put me a little bit in a tailspin of just not knowing what was happening and trying to figure it out. And then on the other side of it, new circumstances have kind of also, like, again, in some ways, like the happiest I've ever been, and then other ways, the most unhappy I've ever been. And has nothing to do with the quality of my work and stuff like that, or the people that I work with, or anything like that. Everybody's really wonderful, and I do appreciate everybody. So, I made a commitment in grad school that I was never going to take a job outside of music again. As soon as I started grad school, I thought, this is it. I've done all kinds of odd jobs. I worked all kinds of things. I pumped gas. I mowed grass. I painted barn roofs. I did hay. I milked cows. Yep, I milked cows. I did it for $2 an hour. Did hay for $2 an hour. I trimmed Christmas trees. I did data entry for a book company. I worked at a tax office, and I pumped gas. I worked at McDonald's for 2 days, all kinds of stuff. I did all kinds of jobs. So when I got to grad school, I was like, I'm paying a buttload of money, and it's time to now make this work. And I said, I'm never taking a job outside of music again. And I do have a story about when I first got out of grad school, but I'm not going to tell it now because this will be too long. So I think I'm going to have story videos, just for kicks. People want to hear stories, I can tell you some stories. You don't want to hear stories, and to go watch something else. But I made that commitment, and so for 30 plus years since I started grad school, I never took a job outside of music. And after the pandemic, things have changed a little bit. It's not the same as it was. Playing wise, nothing's changed. I practiced the entire pandemic, and I know, people argue and say that, there's still some pandemic, there's still COVID around, which is, we have to be careful. But I practiced during the pandemic as much as I did when there was no pandemic. Seriously, and I'm not making that up. I did that, and I think, to tell you the truth, I think that's what kept me sane, to an extent. I'm always going to be a little insane, a little kooky. but I think that's what kept me sane. And so, you know, I've really tried to figure things out, and lately I've been kind of in a very reflective mood of trying to figure myself out, figuring out how I could be better. And I've found lots of ways, and I also have been trying to think of um, what hasn't gone well. How could I treat people better? Just a lot of stuff that I was trying to figure some things out. And, you know, I've never been a huge fan of organized religion, and I hope nobody hates me for that. But I do have my beliefs. And I will say that I kind of got down to the bottom of the barrel just recently, and I just felt like I needed help. So one of the things I did was, and this may seem weird to some, and this may seem normal to some, and it may also be very surprising that I'm even talking about this publicly, but I asked my mom for help. She passed away in 2012. I also asked one of my closest friends who died in 2005. And that friend had said when she was on her deathbed that she was going to be my guardian angel. And I feel like she has a number of times, especially when I can't find something. It's kind of funny. I look around the house, I can't find something, and then I ask her for help, and then I kind of find it shortly after. Kind of weird. But anyway, trying to make this not too dark. You know, so I asked for help, and then the weird stuff started happening. And you know, to me, it's always kind of been a little hocus pocus kind of stuff, but it's like things started happening in front of me. They just started kind of being there. I'm not sure exactly how to explain that, except that I can tell you some examples. The examples are seeing things. You're driving around, you see something, and it kind of triggers a thought that is related to what you're going through. Of course, there's things that you just notice because you're going through it now. So, I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. It's one of those things. But one of the things was, I watch YouTube videos on my TV, and so I don't see all the suggested videos on the side and everything. They usually don't pop up until the end, or once you back out of the video. So, I was going through YouTube, but it wasn't really, I didn't have to really go through it. It was on the screen that I was on that had a bunch of videos, and it wasn't something that I had been watching before. I did watch this podcast before, so there's a good reason that could have popped up. But the podcast is called Diary of a CEO, and there's a lot of really great guests on there that do a lot of amazing things. And but what was odd about it is I hadn't watched it for a while, and then this particular person was on that ended up kind of changing how I thought about some stuff. And that's one of the things that I wanted to share, because I thought maybe this might be something that could benefit somebody else. So who was on there was this guy they call the Iceman. And maybe I'll get a link down in the comments, but if not, look up Diary of a CEO and then put in Iceman, see if that comes up. But anyway, what this guy was homeless, and he had absolutely no money. He lived on the streets, ended up like getting married and having 4 kids, I think, on the streets. It was just crazy. And when you heard the guy talk, he seemed like a lunatic. He just seemed like a complete lunatic. And but it was like a train wreck. I couldn't stop watching. And then as he was talking, and he's talking more, and he's saying about how he got through stuff, and now, like, he is like this majorly important person that has done amazing things for the world. And it just blows my mind when I heard him talking, and then like thinking he's a lunatic, and then hearing what he had to say. And one of the things that he talked about was, ooh, bag fell, sorry. One of the things that he talked about was breath work. Now, I'm a tuba player, so this is right up my alley. So, and this isn't for musicians, this is just for everybody, breath work. So the breathing that he did was basically just stuff like this, where you go, so you're breathing in, you reverse the air, and you breathe out. So it's the same way I play the instrument, except I slow the air down so I don't make as much noise and stuff like that. But you breathe in. This is clearing breaths. This is trying to relax you. So you do 10 of those breaths, and then take a break, and then you do 10 more of those breaths, and then at the end of the 10th one, as you're breathing out, you hold your breath for 1.5 minutes. Now, I thought, no way I can hold my breath for 1.5 minutes. I've tried that. Do you ever do that? You go, well, I think it's because of all the tension. And so I was so relaxed when I did it. I did it on the first try. I held my breath for 1.5 minutes. I was shocked. I was actually blown away. Now, here's the stuff with this. It's supposed to be good for your body, of course, to do breath work. I actually know that breathing on the tuba has been beneficial to my personal health. So it's great that I play the tuba, and I want to continue playing the tuba because not only do I love it, and I love playing it for people, and I love adding things to their life and joy and happiness from music, but I think it keeps me alive. So there's that. And so this breath work is really good for you, I guess. And one of the things that he talked about was that after doing that and holding your breath for 1.5 minutes, when you breathe again, evidently it has 5 times the amount of blood goes to your heart and your brain. I don't know if it's true. It's what he's saying. Again, I don't just tell people stuff to tell people stuff. So it also affects your brainstem and releases chemicals. I think it releases dopamine. I might be wrong about the dopamine part, but it releases stuff into your brainstem. I could feel this. And I got done. And I was the calmest I think I've ever been, and I can't remember. Because I kind of bounce off the walls a lot. I'm a bundle of energy when I'm when I'm a happy guy. And so it's interesting. It was really interesting. And then so he talked about how it's a form of meditation. Now, for me, people have talked to me about meditation over the years. I've had doctors talk about meditation. I've actually watched stuff a little bit on meditation. I've had friends and people close to me that have talked to me about meditation just a little bit. Just a little bit. Everybody says meditation, meditation, meditation. And I'm like, yeah. Not for me. But I started thinking about it more, and I realized how I felt when I did that. And I went out one morning very early, not normally early, stupid, ridiculous early. And I sat on a park bench next to a pond watching some swans, and I did 3 sets of these breathing things. Now, I'm not talking about the 2 sets and then you hold your breath. I'm talking about 2 sets, hold your breath, 2 sets, hold your breath, 2 sets, hold your breath. And then I did the 2 sets again. Didn't hold my breath the last time. Now, he says eventually you should be able to hold your breath 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to try that unless somebody else is around, because, So there's that. So, okay, so there's the Iceman. That was interesting stuff. Then he takes ice baths and stuff. I have no way of doing that. I know that's supposed to be good for you. I've heard lots of good things about it. But, yeah, I just don't have a way of doing that. So anyway, so then the next one that happened, that kind of just showed up in front of me with somebody named Dr. James R. Doty, MD. Dr. James Doty is a neuroscientist and a neurosurgeon. And this stuff fascinates me. Stuff with the brain fascinates me. I'm a very, self-proclaimed cerebral kind of guy. I think about things a lot. I try to use logic as much as possible. I have a weird thing for numbers. Before cell phones, I used to remember everybody's phone number because I had dialed it into the phone or with the rotary or the push button. Now it's in your phone, you don't think about it as much, but I used to be able to remember phone numbers all the time. I have a thing with numbers for some reason. I don't know why. I have a thing with dates. Not necessarily dates that I like history and I can tell you when something happened. It's actually more stuff that has to do with me, that's more personal, that I remember what happened and then I can remember like what specific date it happened on, and then I sometimes can relate dates together. It's just really strange thing. I don't know why, but I'm just kind of a very cerebral kind of person, I think. So so this guy was talking about manifestation and manifesting what you want. And he talked about this woman named Ruth. When he was 12 years old, his dad was, I think, an alcoholic and was suicidal. Tried to commit suicide, actually, a number of times. I think his mother had a serious disability, and she couldn't get around, and she was super depressed all the time. So he was in a bad place. And so he went into this magic shop. He wrote this book. I think it's Out of the Magic Shop or something about the magic shop. And then his newest book is called Mind Magic. And I'm not promoting this or anything. I haven't bought it myself. I probably will buy one of them at least. But there's a lot of stuff online you can watch on YouTube. So anyway, he's talking about this, and this woman Ruth knew that he was going through a lot of problems as a kid. And so she wanted to help him. She told him, I could help you if you come back every day. So one day she told him, we're going to take a piece of paper. I want you to write this down. I want you to write down 10 things that you want. And so the writing down is a very important thing. I always felt like that with taking notes and that kind of stuff, that it actually helps. It stuck with me more. And so he wrote down 10 things. And now this is a 12-year-old. And two of the things on this list were a Rolex watch and a Porsche. Really? 12 years old? So it's funny. So his list was basically like that. It was all like stuff that he wanted that were very expensive and that kind of thing. And the amazing thing is that he eventually got all of it. He got everything on the list. He eventually, at one point, he had $80 million, he said. He lost everything. It was negative $3 million. He made money back. He had businesses and stuff like that. This is when he's older, of course. And then he had $30 million, and he gave it all away to charity. And his wife, he said his wife at that time was quoted saying in the Wall Street Journal that, she had no problem with him giving money away, but just to give it all away was kind of crazy. So, but he gave all the money away. And here's what happened, is that he figured out that the manifestation list is really important, but it's important to have things on the list that actually serve other people, that help other people. He said, you could have things. He said, I still have a Porsche. He says, I've had Ferraris. I have a mansion, all that stuff. And he's got money. So he's like, you can still have all that stuff, but you can't be attached to it. It doesn't mean anything really. And he said that what has to mean more is that you're doing things to serve other people. So this resonated big time with me because of where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to figure out certain things. And he started talking about energy. And I've had some people talk to me about energy before. And I don't want to come out and say like that I directly dismissed it because I thought it was hocus pocus. But I don't know. I'll speak for myself. I would say maybe it's a guy thing that thinks, yeah, okay, energy, yeah, whatever. But I started thinking about it more, especially recently. And I watched the second video that he was being interviewed today, actually, and he said that your heart emanates energy to about 5 or 6 feet in front of you or around you. If that's true, I don't know if that's true or not. It's pretty amazing. So what happens is that you can have a happy, positive energy, and we all know people that are happy and positive, at least in public. I know some people that have, like, you know, the evil side and the happy side in public and all that stuff too. But it's just like, but it's, you know, you have that happy, joyous side, and then it ends up making people around them feel good. And I mean, I think we all know that people like that. And then on the other side of things, we have people that have an energy that, you know, if they're frustrated, they're not in a good place, they're having a hard time, maybe they're angry, maybe they've got a lot of bad stuff going on in their life, maybe they're just not a nice person, and they give off a negative energy that kind of makes people not want to be around them. I'm sure we all know people like that as well. And I feel that I'm learning more about this stuff, but I'm feeling more like I have been in the second category, and that I'm giving off negative energy, and I am not the happy-go-lucky guy that I used to be. When I was in grad school, I remember, I think women pick up on this even more so than men. I remember there were 2 women at Boston University when I was there for my master's degree, and in different ways. One of them said it this way specifically, and then the other one said it a little differently, but I'd run into them in a hallway and I'd hear stuff from them kind of regularly saying like, man, you're always so happy, you always have a smile on your face. And I was like, I don't know, I'm living a dream, you know. I wanted to go study with this famous tuba player, Stan Palafian, and so I was there working, and I was just excited, and the world was my oyster. I had these amazing goals that I wanted to achieve, and I was there doing it. I was doing it. So I'm smiling a lot thinking about it right now. And then, of course, your life goes on and things don't go as well as you want them to. And various things affect you. We lose people, you know. We lose people, we lose pets, which are family members also. We have things not work out for us. We have, you know, sometimes, like, for instance, I won't go into detail at all here, but or anywhere, but I had a traumatic experience in 2019 that just affected me and just stayed with me. When I lost my friend in 2005, it affected me a lot. She was my confidant, and it was really difficult. And then I lost my mom in 2012, and she was somebody that I called up on a regular basis, got to talk to, and I could talk to her about stuff too. So it was 2 major people left, and my friend was the first peer, somebody that was a contemporary of mine that passed. So those things add up over the years, and then your experiences, and it can be tough. So my thing is that I'm not here to say that I have the answers and listen to this video because I'm going to change your life. You know, people like to do that, and you know, they call them, I forget what they call them, they draw you in on YouTube and stuff to try to get you to listen to their stuff and everything. I don't have the answers. But what I can tell you though is that I asked for help from 2 people that passed that were close to me, and shortly after, I'm like seeing things around me. I'm all of a sudden watching videos that I really didn't know what they were about, and I started watching them and started finding out that they were stuff I needed to watch. And then just one more quick thing, because I know this is very long. You know, I had another thing happen. I have been thinking lately, because in my last video I was talking about sharing and kind of sharing things with others, and kind of reassessing. I'm reassessing, so it's like I'm trying to figure out, I love to teach, and I cut back on it. You watch the other video for more details on that, but I cut back on it over the years, and I recently have decided that I wanted to do more teaching than I have been. So I want to create more educational videos and that kind of stuff to get more things out there, to help people, to share with people. And one of the things that I did, that I shared with people, was I had a camp. I had the MMI Tuba Euphonium Academy, and I ran that for 12 years. I had a couple years that it didn't run. Last time was 2019, and it was just an incredible camp for a number of reasons. There were some things that were frustrating that particular year as well, which that's life. But that camp, that whole camp, not just 2019, but the whole camp in general, was something that was really good. It was really good because I got so much fantastic feedback from it, because people were learning from it. They were getting stuff out of it. They were meeting people. They were developing relationships with each other. They were having fun. It's so stressful in so many ways, and it takes an enormous amount of effort to do this. But it was, at the end of the day, every year I walked away feeling like it was so worth it. And so I've been thinking just recently, like in the last week, that I need to bring the camp back. Maybe 2025, MMI Tuba Euphonium Academy. I've been thinking this. 3 people in the last week contacted me asking, or not asking, but saying that they missed my camp. Out of the blue. Out of the blue. One of them, for the time I'm making this video now, was yesterday. It's just weird. So I'm trying to figure out how to be better. I've learned already in a short period of time, because I think when you kind of hit the bottom, don't get me wrong, there's still good things happening, and I'm playing, and I'm very happy. I could always be working more. We all can, but I have great colleagues. I have great friends. I got a lot of people that I really appreciate. One of my close friends, from forever ago, saw my other video and said some really great stuff about it, and it was very encouraging. So it's kind of strange that all this is kind of, I asked for some help and seems like it showed up. So I think sometimes stress helps. Ongoing stress that doesn't end, that's not good. But I think that there's too much of people trying to get stress completely out of their lives and do everything that has no stress involved. Stress makes you better. Stress pushes you. Stress makes you change situations. I'm there right now. I'm there right now, and I think that it just lately, it's been so impactful. It's impacted me so much that it's actually caused serious change. Of course, long change doesn't happen on the short term. It happens over the long term, because you can only change little things at a time. But it's kind of given me a wake-up call. Sorry, I'm kind of contemplative while I'm talking about this, and I'm sure if you ever made it to this point in the video, because it's ridiculously long, thank you for sticking around. But I just want to say, it's just, I think that some of us, sometimes we all need that proverbial slap upside the head. And so I'm trying to figure it out and trying to figure out the next step, and realizing that energy that sometimes, because I've been so goal oriented, and I've worked so hard to get to those goals, and then when things aren't going well, and then you double down, which is not a bad thing to work hard, and it's not a bad thing to keep working toward your goals. So I mean, I won't ever say anything different, because that's important. But I think that there's a balance, that you can forget that there's other people around you, and you can affect other people. You can affect those around you, because you are in a place that is not really paying attention to others. You're paying attention more to yourself than anything else. So I think that, when it comes to performing with others, when it comes to teaching, when it comes to relationships on any level, I think that we have to. My mother used to always say that I worry more about everybody else instead of myself. I always said I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think that I think she meant more that I was worried about everybody else. But it's not a matter of, I help people whenever I can, but it's like, I think it was more like, when somebody needs help, I'm there, and I'm still like that. But I think I need to get better at just doing more for everybody, not just myself. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm going some kooky stuff, and just wanted to share it. And I don't know if my ridiculousness here, maybe it's not ridiculous, maybe it's just great for me to figure it out. But I don't know, maybe it kind of helps somebody else. Maybe one person watches this video and realizes that there's more to all this, and we have to all figure ourselves out and figure out which way do we go next. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, too much sappy contemplative stuff. Arr! Gotta show the strong side. Arr! So if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'll scare you with another video soon. Thanks.